Hey, friends. I am so very excited to be live with you today to continue bringing to you a panel of amazing people that I am just blessed to have in my life. Seriously. I'm Carey Conley, for those of you who don't know me, and I am doing this summit in the month of November. We're launching the 1 year anniversary, officially celebrating the launch of my podcast, Moving Through and Beyond, that happened last year on 11/11. And I launched the podcast because I wanted to be able to bring on people who are willing to share, some sort of adversity that they've been through in their life and what helped them get through it, how they're doing now, and just give tips and encouragement because so many of us are struggling with so much right now. And I myself, most of you know, have lost two family members in the past 9 years, my husband and my son, to suicide. And I've been very public about that story. And I just felt like so many people just needed voices of hope and encouragement. And the beautiful thing about all these people that I bring on from the outside, if you watch them on social media, check out their websites, all the things, they live really successful, amazing lives. But the grace that they bring to being able to share their stories is huge. So I'm just honored, you guys, that you would want to be here with me. And in a minute, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves. But I want to share with you guys that the podcast in a year has done amazingly well. We have to date have had over 38,000 views, and I've been able to interview over 50 people. So it's rocking and rolling. So I want to thank all of you who have been watching it, listening to it, sharing it, and absolutely, most especially, subscribing. And I want to thank my team who runs this podcast for me because I could not do this part. My best part is bringing on these amazing people and interviewing them, and everything else, personalized solutions, my team handles for me. So thank you guys. I could not do this without you. Um, so I want to tell you guys that out of the 50 people, over 50 people I've interviewed, every single person has brought some impact. And the women that I chose to bring on here today, I chose them for this panel today. It's called Hope and Positivity because this is what they each and every one of them do. They bring hope. They choose positivity every single day. And they are very public about that and how they're encouraging other people. So I'm honored, ladies, that you guys could be here with me today. And I just want to ask you each to just take a couple minutes and just introduce yourselves, tell everybody who you are and what you're doing. And Colleen, I'll start with you.
Oh, thanks, Carey. And thank you so much for having this platform for all of us to speak on. You're an amazing individual. I love everything about you, what you've been through. You have been such an example to me on strength and humility. So thank you for that. As Carey said, my name is Colleen Biggs. I live in Mesa, Arizona. And I absolutely love being an entrepreneur. It's freeing. I love it. I mostly love it because as a female coming out of a broken home at a very young age, I'm now able to really share with other women how they can financially be independent and stand on their own. And so I work with female entrepreneurs in building business and creating cash flow. That's who I work with.
Yeah. She's amazing, you guys. One of the best business leader trainers there is out there, and she constantly is pouring into people, into her organization, and running amazing events. So, Colleen, thank you. I know how busy you are right now, girl. So Rita, how about you, my friend?
Well, let's see. I'm a speaker, an author, former broadcaster, did infomercials, and I was with Arbonne for many years and was able to take that business from 9 million a year to, with Donna Johnson's help, to almost $1 billion a year. And currently I am an exotic dancer.
Nice. I knew that was coming.
Why is that funny? Y'all, I was in an accident once and I'm laying on the floor with a broken arm and the paramedics are there and my sister's going to faint. She faints easy. And so they said, "What's your occupation?" And I said, "I'm an exotic dancer." It's just about 5 years ago, folks. So get the picture. My sister's laughing hysterically, but within 5 minutes, 12 more paramedics rushed into the furniture store where I had fallen to see the exotic dancer. So if you're ever in an accident, it does help to say, "I'm an exotic dancer." Wow, you get so much more attention. I'm just saying. Anyway,
So
so I'm so glad to be here.
the one thing I knew that was going to help us get through this topic was we were going to have a lot of laughing today, a lot of levity.
Yeah.
So
Laughter, I teach with humor because your retention rate is 700% greater if you learn something while you're laughing and happy and having a good time. So yes, I'll have a serious topic, but I'll put some humor into it because it does help with retention. Trust me on this.
So funny story, Rita and I flew together to Vegas for an event a couple weeks ago. And she was talking to some people as we were walking out the door of the airport, and strikes up a conversation with everybody, brings her book with her everywhere. She has it with her now. It says, buy my book because I make $1 on every single one that you buy. And then she tells people that she's a stripper for the blind in Vegas.
I've upgraded from being an exotic dancer to a stripper for blind people. It kind of helps with business, I guess, to be flexible.
And Rita's husband, David, is like 100 yards ahead of us the entire time because he's like, I don't know her. So Rita, thank you. You're so funny.
So fun to be here.
Well, fun to have you. So Julie, how are you, my friend? Thank you for being here. I know this is a tough, challenging day for you, but this is why you're here, my friend. Always positive.
Yes, thank you. And I am just so honored to be here. And Rita, you and I need to hang out much more often because anybody who's a stripper for the blind, well, I want to be part of that because I know I could do a good job with that too. So, oh my gosh. Well, yes, I am a former police officer and SWAT team member. So I have seen my share of negativity and tragedy, not only in a professional setting, but in my personal life, which I will go through, a little bit later in detail. But what I love to do, I love to do is inspire people to have fun. Because Rita, you are absolutely right. I mean, I think that some people have this misconception that we are to have fun in one aspect and then be serious in another. And you can bring fun into everything that you do. And that's what I inspire people to do. So I am a keynote speaker. I'm a breakthrough coach where I help people to release emotional baggage. And I also have a television show. I've done some podcasting. I have my own podcast show. I've authored books. I've got more books coming out this year that I keep forgetting about. People keep telling me, oh yeah, this book's coming out. I'm like, oh, great. Because I just, I submit stuff and then I'm like, oh yeah, I did do that, didn't I? Because I love to live life to the fullest and I love to inspire people to do the same. My whole platform is stop waiting, start living, because again, you are not promised tomorrow, as I know so well this week. And so it's all about being in the moment and living in the moment.
Yeah. Julie, you just exude positivity, my friend. And it's so funny if you see Julie and I together. Julie is how tall?
I'm about 6 foot tall.
So, and if I'm in flat shoes and she's in heels, it's hysterical.
Yeah, we come to her waist, Carey, on both
Yeah,
sides.
pretty much, Colleen. So thank you, Julie. I know it's challenging for you to be here today, and it means the world to me. So thank you.
Thank you.
So, Donna, such an honor to have you here, my friend, my longtime friend and mentor.
Thank you, Carey. It's so good to be here with all these amazing women. And I'm so proud of you, Carey, and the people you're touching, the ministry you have. God is just really blessing and working through you. So here to be celebrating this podcast with you. I don't have a college degree, but I've actually built one of the largest successful network marketing global businesses over the last 40 years. Yes, I did start as a teenager. Rita was our beloved president and just worked hand in hand with her and still do. God is so good. And I love being an entrepreneur and helping others. And I'm also the author of the new book, went #1 in 24 hours, My Mentor Walks on Water, that Rita wrote the foreword for. It was actually an inspiration from an event that Rita and I were at. We spoke at an event that Tony Robbins spoke at, and Rita got up on stage and she's like, I don't know what all this firework walking is about. I love my feet. And she's kissing her feet. And then she said, but I don't know about you, but my mentor walks on water. And something really incredible happened a couple years ago where God just dropped that message for me. And Rita teaches that she always wants her mentees to and so the first person I called was Rita. I never heard you say that. Where did that come from? And she said, girl, it was meant for you. It was from him and it was for you. So God is so good. And I just see a lot of hurt and struggle in the world. And if whatever we can do to bring that hope and positivity, like this show, that's really what it's all about.
Right. Thank you, Donna. Yeah, you've been very, very busy with the launch of this book and your mentorship that you're doing, and just expanding your impact. And I just am so honored for you taking me you taking me under your wing so many times when you did not need to. So I appreciate you so much being here. I didn't say this at the beginning, you all, but I do hope that you guys stay on here and listen to the panel until the very end, because I do have a special free gift that I'd like to give everybody and a special announcement that I've been kind of teasing up. So I want to circle back around to each of you and kind of, you each touched a little bit on your background and what you've been through in life. And so Donna, since you just touched on that a second ago, would you share with everybody a little bit about, what's been the challenging part of your life and what helped you get through it?
Yeah, I actually, in chapter 1 of my book, I share a story that I really was so shamed about that I never really told people. In fact, people that had known me for years were like, I never knew that about your father. So I didn't have a normal earthly daddy. At 5 years old, when a little friend's mom painted our fingernails pink, I came home so excited, and my dad called me a whore, and I had to ask my mom what that was. And so I learned a lot. He left my family, but obviously the impact that he made on me was that there was something wrong with me. And of course, I learned later all of the hurts that he went through. But it took a lot of healing on my part to write a new story. And I know that's something we're going to talk about today, because the enemy wants to tell us we're not worthy, we're not qualified, and whatever story has been dealt to us. I love Rita's saying, write your problem down, put it in a box, but then take somebody else's problem. We could sit here and just compare problems. But that's not how God works. God forgives us. We forgive each other. We don't sit and compare on a scale of 1 to 10 our problems, but we overcome them. We've been given a plan to overcome and be free. And so I'm just grateful that my journey through believing that lie for so long, I became an overachiever because I had to prove, that I was worthy. But now instead of having a pattern of hustle and grind, I have a rest and rhythm, because I have aligned myself to see myself the way that God sees me. And it gives me peace. And so what I love doing now is sharing that message with others. We have a big Bible study on a virtual Bible study, and it's just such a neat community of women, and just spreading that hope and community, I think, is what we need right now in a world that wants us divided. I just love helping people rewrite their story and casting it as far as the east is from the west, and carrying on the way that God sees us.
You know what's so interesting about you, Donna, is that I did not know the story about your dad either. And we've known each other for years. And probably when I first met you, you may not have even been aware of that story that many years ago. What I remember is you as a single mom, starting your business, right? You mentioned a minute ago, no, you did not have a college degree, no family support, as I remember, correct? And I think that there are a lot of women that are going through that right now, that are, shouldering the burden of taking care of their finances, their homes, their kids. And I want to know, like, during those times that you were building Arbonne then, and I remember you specifically everything you ever said about how you did what you did and how you built it as fast as you did. And I've always wondered what got you through that when you didn't have that kind of support.
When you can't put food on the table, I went out on the skinny branches because I didn't have child support from my ex. I didn't have a college degree. I had a family that said to me, those things, those entrepreneurial things don't work out. So just go get a real job. And I'm like, I don't want a real job. I want freedom. I want to be there when my kids get home from school. I want to, it's not that I wasn't a hard worker. I just wanted that level of freedom. And so I guess all my ships were burned. I knew that I had it within me to create success. There was no glass ceiling in my business, no boss telling me, oh, you don't have a college degree, so you can't do this. And that's what I love about entrepreneurship is that you don't have that glass ceiling.
Right.
And so I think one of the benefits, I have a funny story. I had a high school boyfriend who went on to become a doctor. And through social media, and he broke up with me because his mom told him that I lived on the poor side of town and he was going to be a doctor and he needed to get rid of me. And I remember later in life, he wanted to meet with me. And I was like, well, this is kind of creepy. He's married. Okay, but I'll have lunch with him. And he wanted to apologize. And I said, you don't have to apologize. I just don't know who, not that there's anything wrong with being a wife of a doctor, but I said, my journey is my journey. And I am the person that I am because of everything that I went through. I used my adversities not to be a victim, but to be a victor. And I hope that's everyone that's listening, whatever you're going through, just surrender it and rewrite that new story. I teach in chapter 1 how to rewrite that new story. And yes, are we going to go back to it and have a pity party? Yes, we will. We're not perfect, but it's progress over perfection. And when you surround yourself in a community like this, you have support and you have cheerleaders that encourage you. And so this kind of community, your podcast, that is just such a light for people because we're not alone. We're not alone.
Thank you, Donna. I appreciate that. You have always been such a huge part of my community and always willing to do whatever I needed when I needed it. And I know that your kids, you are such a great example for them and they've turned out so well. How many grandchildren you have now, right?
I have 5 children, 8 grandchildren. Love it. It's so
awesome.
fun.
That's so great. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. We talked and did your interview. You talked a lot about your upbringing as well. So I'm gonna bounce to you now.
I could just say ditto. I think Donna and I came out of the same house. We had such a parallel, similar life. It's why I believe going back and every therapist, anyone I've ever spoken to, based on my childhood, that's why I became an overachiever. I was a single mom. And it really is that simple. When it's a choice between eating or not eating, you do what it takes. There isn't an option. There's just no option at that point. And I have a family who doesn't participate in my life anymore because they want to be the victim. They don't want to be the victors. And my mom is heading up that victim mentality. I lost my father about 11 years ago, and I hadn't been in contact with him. He was extremely abusive. My dad didn't call us names, Donna, as much as my dad physically shared how his frustrations. And we're talking major physical frustrations. And when my dad left when I was 12, my whole dream, the American, the daughter being raised with hoping that she has a fairy tale wedding and gets married and has a baby, that was the generation we all grew up in. And that was gone, just squashed. I was like, this was all bullcrap. And I watched my mom suffer. I watched my mom kind of retreat. I watched my sister retreat. I watched my brother lash out. My mom sent my brother to go live with my dad, which I thought, you're crazy because he beats us. Why would you send a child off to be beaten? And I lost a lot of respect for my mom because she couldn't really process. So I was 12. and I had to get a job. I had to take care of myself. I wasn't like every other child who got lunch money. And, my mom's story looks very different. My mom's story will tell you that she waited until I graduated high school before she left. My story and my perspective is she had that U-Haul packed. The second I walked across the stage, she was gone. They're the same story, by the way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I wish that I had a mom that I could turn to, but instead, because I know I became everything I am today, and God gave me this path specifically so I could encourage others and be an example to others, I find a mentor and a mom in so many women that surround me, and that they're my family. They're my family.
That's a term I shared with Colleen yesterday, you guys, from the panel last week. Is somebody said that your friends become your family. It's family. And I love that. Colleen, seriously, your story, again, you and I have become very close friends, and you've shared a little bit about this with me. And I love that both you and Donna are sharing how you just took something that was a hardship, and you just, the bottom line is you all just didn't have any time to think anything other than, I got to make this work. And I just really, inspires me so much.
There was no time for fear. There was
Yeah.
no time for self-doubt. And I, too, have worked my entire life to worthiness, right? And it just hit me one day when I started loving myself, and I realized, wow, I finally have gotten to a place where I can love myself, where I can say I truly and deeply love others. It took a lot of work for me to get to be ready to marry my husband that I've been married to for 16 years. Same with him. We combined our families. And who would have thought when I was 17, homeless, whatever I was doing then, just kind of surfing couch to couch, trying to get enough money to pay for gas, that I would have 7 kids, 12 grandkids, one on the way, and that I would be just living this, to me, this magical life. This was the life that I wanted when I was 5, but it looks so different today. And it's where I was meant to be.
Yeah.
And there isn't anything I won't do or try, or I
This is
just
true about you, Colleen.
Yeah. I trust myself.
I've been on those adventures with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. And I think it's important to share that we need to trust ourselves. We need to believe in ourselves, because we can't wait for somebody else to. We need to do that first.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true. Thank you. And Rita, I'm going to turn to you, my friend, because I love your story. I've heard it, I don't even know how many times. But I think it's also a great story to share about how much you knew you had a vision for your life, even through what you went through. So I would love for you to share it.
Well, I was raised in poverty, and that was my gift, because success starts with desire and it ends with gratitude. And you go through all the different stages that I teach. But I was very motivated because I looked around at my family. My sister got married at 14. She didn't have to, but my mother was abusive and she had beaten her so many times. My sister would take me. She was 8 years older, so she would hide me to keep from the beatings. But my motivation for success was always so I could help other people. And, to whom much is given, much is expected. And I just look back and think I was told that I wasn't college material by my high school counselor. And I didn't go to college. I worked I started cleaning houses when I was 12. So I worked at Woolworths and National Life Insurance Company, and never thought I'd go to college. And then I was dating my now husband of 57 years, he was going to Vanderbilt, and I thought, well, he's going to be ashamed of me. I need to get a degree. So I did enroll in college and managed to graduate in just 3 years with honors. I received a BS degree, which I'm demonstrating right now. So I guess I've stretched that out a little bit, but went on to become a teacher, and I still hear from students that were in my class over 57 years ago, and what I had said that made an impact on their life. And when people reach out and say that you saved my life because I was thinking to end my life, then I just want to keep giving. But truly, my inspiration was my poverty, because I knew I had to work hard, and I wasn't intellectual at all. I've always been a people person, and that got me exactly where I'm grateful to be right now, making a difference to people. And all of us are an example, but I know we're going to be talking about hope, but I used to be told all the time when I was president of my junior high school. I was a sixth grader, and you collected votes, and I became the queen of the school because I got all my class to gather a lot of pennies. And usually it was a rich kid's daddy that wrote a check out. But the neighbor across the street, who was in the president of PTA, she said, "You're not going to win." I thought, yes. So when somebody tells you you can't, you won't, that fuels me up. I'm going to show that heifer that I can do that. You wait and see. So, and then she put the crown on my head, and I winked at her. I was just in the sixth grade. I was just a kid. But all of my life, keep being told that you can't. That was inspiring. But I knew that if I didn't make something out of myself, I couldn't help other people. And when we talk about love, you've got to love yourself first before you can love other people, by the way. You really do. And we all make mistakes. We learn more from mistakes than we do success. That's a quote. Never forget that one. We do learn more from mistakes. And so I've made many, but I've gained from that. But what I didn't tell you in my introduction is that according to Dolly Parton, I am Jolene. I dated Carl Dean, her husband. I was the only girl that he ever dated. And when I interviewed Dolly on my show, I said, Dolly, we never did anything. She said, "Oh, I know, we dated for quite a while," but she said, "I was his first." I said, "Oh, you're so naive." But anyway, as far as I know, she was his first. But Dolly said I was the green-eyed Jolene. And, I can tell people that I've written books, I've TV, but when I say Jolene, they go, "Jolene." Of course, they don't look at my green eyes. They look at my chest and say, "Bless your heart." But anyway, so my claim to fame now is grateful that I got that kind of recognition. I don't know if any of you saw her show last night, but it was amazing, and I'm so proud of her. She's just made such an impact on the world. And we might not have that talent, but if we can just impact the people around us, the people that we touch and interact with. I go up to people everywhere I go, and I try to say something positive. Sometimes I have to make it up, by the way, but I was at Costco, and I told a lady, I said, "That is the prettiest blouse. That color is so good." And she came back with her cart, and she said, "Thank you for that compliment." She said, "I'm in chemotherapy right now, and I really needed to hear something positive like that." I had no idea, that was her situation. But it has been, to me, better for me probably than the person I'm saying something nice for. But anytime you're around people, find something nice to say to people. And I'm just grateful, Carey. By the way, your net worth is your network. And people on this panel have an amazing network. And it's just so important to keep that growing and learn, because we learn from other people so much. So anyway, y'all got to shut a motivational speaker up, because I'll just go on for hours. Excuse me, but my poverty was my gift, and so I'm grateful for that.
It's so interesting that there's this theme developing here around that. Around, when you have your back up against the wall, you have no time to complain or be a victim.
Yeah.
And I think that's a challenging thing that's happening in our world right now. And I'll talk about that in a minute. I want you guys to talk about kind of the landscape of what's happening for young adults right now. But thank you for sharing that, Rita.
Yeah.
Always so great at being transparent. Julie Jones, I'm just so happy to have you here, my friend.
Well, thank you. And the more I hear from Rita, the more that I definitely know that we need to um, connect even more, because you and I have the
We'll
same
make it happen.
philosophy. Yes. Well, first of all, to whom much is given, much is expected has always been, the bottom line for me, as well as that ripple effect. Even if I meet people just for 10 seconds, they're always going to get eye contact, a smile, and a hello. Because I think today, especially with technology, we are just not acknowledging people. And it's in those moments where we actually see people of who they are and the gifts that they bring to this world. That's when things will start to change, because I think so many people are feeling so alone in this world. So my story that ended up coming out in Carey's podcast, which I'm open about, I don't always talk about. I am a product of an alcoholic, father. But he was more the fun loving life of the party type of thing. And I really grew up in a household and with a family that alcohol was okay, until I decided at some point in my life that it was, because it became an emotional crutch for me. And so it led me on a journey of, being in law, like, as I said, being in law enforcement. It was what I relied on a lot of times. Not proud to say that. That's why I've always had grace for anybody that I did arrest, because I know how many times I crossed the line with drinking and driving myself. With having that, what I didn't know at the time was a dependency on alcohol. I'm an all or nothing kind of girl, which you'll know a lot about me. Like, I, if you tell me no, I'm like, I will figure out yes all day
Another
long.
theme that's developing here
Yes,
today.
like you just don't tell me no, because I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, no is not in my vocabulary. No to me means not right now. And so I had, challenges. I left law enforcement. And then, in my own personal life, tragedy struck. And when I was in my early 30s, that my mom passed away at the age of 59 from early onset Alzheimer's. And a month later, after that, within 30 days, my grandmother passed away. So I lost two strong women in a short amount of time. And it was the alcohol that was getting me, that was, eventually getting me through. And when I say I'm the all or nothing kind of gal, it was like, okay, I'm just going to have one glass. And the one glass would always turn into one bottle. I mean, and I would justify it, right? Like, I'm a big girl. I'm 6 foot tall. I can, all the excuses, all the justification, like, there's a little bit left in the bottle. Well, it's not going to be good tomorrow, so I might as well finish it up tonight. But it was 2 years ago. And actually, the anniversary just was on Monday. So on November 6th, 2021, my husband and I were at a wedding, and he had a massive seizure. He died and was resuscitated at the wedding. And he spent 5 days in the hospital, not knowing where things were going to go with him. And eventually, he came out, and I would say that, he's in full health, but I'll get to that in just a second. And it was during that process that I really started to look at my own relationship with alcohol. And I realized that I was depending on it too much. I realized that I used to be what I considered a fun drunk. And I was starting to say things that I never would have said when I was sober. And so on December 27th, 2021, I made the decision that I was done with alcohol. And so I'm almost sober for 2 years. I have, been able to do so many things in my life these last 2 years that I know would not have been possible if I was still, drinking. And it's a day by day choice. It is a day by day choice that I have made. And as it turns out, on November 6th of this year, just 2 years to the date, I am back in the hospital with my husband. My husband was having extreme pain. We do not know what is going on with him. He is in a multitude of different testing today to figure out what his health status is. And it's not easy. Like, I have told people, one of my platforms so much is that, as much as it appears and social media portrays that everything is rainbow, sunshine, and unicorns, and I share my story openly, and I talk all the time about that my life is not that way, nor is anybody's life that way. But it's in the sharing of the stories and being vulnerable and being transparent and letting people know what is really happening in your life, that it brings people together because they know that there's somebody else out there exactly like them that has the
Right.
same challenges and the same struggles, and that they are not alone, because the
Yeah.
worst place to be is to be alone.
Right. I love just what's happening here with common themes, right? We've all had upbringings that on the outside because of our lives being, what they are now, people would never know what we've dealt with in the past. And I think the biggest message of hope we're sending here is that we know that the more we talk about our stories, like you said, Julian, the more we come together to give each other grace and a lot of how can I help you and serving. It's for me, that's what's giving me the most hope. And I know that it is for you too, that when you all go and serve other people, that's what's brought you hope and that's what's gotten you through. So I just appreciate you all sharing those stories so transparently. And um, I think so. You talked about this, Julie, about how people are feeling so alone right now. Somebody shared some statistics with me a couple months ago that kind of surprised me, actually. And the statistics are that the loneliest generation right now are the young adults.
Mhm.
And there's so many reasons for that.
Yes.
Social media, I think, plays a lot into that. Their upbringing, I think our school system needs a serious revamping. And what we've been through the past 3 years, right? And this is why I said earlier that I have an announcement to make that I'm going to launch a community for young adults, because I'm feeling so called to help them, because there's a lot of focus right now, you guys, on teens, depression, suicide, a lot of emphasis on them. But this early 20 to early 30 group, there's a gap there that they're not getting a lot of help and they don't know where to get it. So thank you for saying that, Julie, because I hope that if anybody's listening, especially if you are a young adult or a parent of the young adult, you'll understand what these women are saying is that they need help and they need hope and they need a community and they need this. They need people like us sharing our stories. So thank you, Julie. So with that, you guys, I wanted to just talk just briefly about the world as it is right now and speaking to young adults,
Yes.
and helping them get through it. What would you say? What would you give them? Don, I'll start with you as a couple tips that you could give them on finding hope and staying positive.
Oh, just listening to you say that, yes, the young adults are so on my heart, and I'm so glad you're doing that. I just heard Charlie Kirk say, now, we talked a lot about our generation and the adversity we went through. He shared that some of the strongest people right now are young men, because they've been pushed down, they've been masked up, they've been told to do this, or and they're just like, no. So the young adults are using that adversity to find something strong within, just like we did, and they're
Right.
rising up. And so really empower. And I would say one of the biggest things is your inner circle, like
Yeah.
who's in your inner circle, because you're a sum product of that. And because there's been so much craziness in the world, it's time to look up and ask for help, because we have a helper through our faith. And that, I mean, I don't know what I would do without my faith. And I want to end with this. Um, I share in my book, my mom was an unbelievable worrier. In fact, I used to, I would collect worry quotes for her. Remember, Rita, I would ask you, do you have any worry quotes lately? Like, worrying is kind of like being in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. Worrying is like praying for something you don't want. And it didn't matter, because my mom she wore it like a medal. Like, I'm a warrior. Like, I'm a better warrior than you are, right? And now, fast forward, my mom is in assisted living. She has dementia, and she's close to the point of not knowing who I am, right? But guess what? She doesn't worry anymore. So what I've been sharing with people is, don't wait till you have dementia to stop worrying. Worrying is, and the world gives us a lot of reasons to worry, don't they? I mean, in my
Yeah.
book, I talk about 11 sat in the boat, fear, uncertainty, what's going on in the world, right? And we are called to have courage and stand up and step out of the boat and walk on water. Your courage strengthens the spine of others. One of my favorite quotes from Billy Graham. Your courage strengthens the spine of others. And so take that message from the world about worrying or being a victim, or there's no hope for you. This is where a lot of the loneliness and depression is coming from. There is no hope. There is hope. Stop listening to that and know that you can stand up and take a stand. So I'm so thrilled with what you're doing, Carey.
Oh, thank you, Donna. It's because of supporters like you guys that I'm able to do this. And I get super emotional when I talk about it. So I know I'm on the right path, right? I love that you're talking about worry, Donna, because I do talk to a lot of young adults. And the first thing they will tell you is all of the anxiety and the doubt and the fear about their future and just paralyzed with making any wrong decisions in any direction. It's staggering. So thank you for sending that message. I appreciate it. Julie, what about you? What couple of things would you tell some young adults right now that you see in the world?
The first thing that comes to mind is the whole idea of digital detox. And I know that growing up in a technology, and that's all that they've ever known. I think being able to step away from at least an hour a day and then increasing it is a huge step in the right direction. See, in that hour, like, what are the things that you're telling yourself you no longer have time for that you can either start to turn inward or start to really do the connecting with other people? Does it look like meditating? Does it look like journaling? Does it look like just picking up the phone and actually having a conversation? And I know that, the young adults that I'm speaking to, they're like, what's that? Picking up the phone and having a conversation, right?
So true.
Like this kind of technology, right? Like even during the pandemic, the last thing I was doing, I wasn't really FaceTiming. I wasn't really Zooming. I was really like still picking up the phone and having conversations. It's what I've always loved to do. And if it's nothing more than just, hey, how are you doing? And the other thing that I would suggest is stop watching the news. I have not watched the news in over 10 years. I have turned off the news. I have I don't delve into that negativity. I mean, I'm still aware of what is happening in this world, but I'm not constantly tied to the news because there is a difference in people's attitude if they're watching the news and they're not watching the news.
So true. Thank you for that. I worry about this technology, guys, with grandkids big time. Yeah. Just so aware. I've just spent 4 days watching my grandsons and was so aware of the screen time. It's just freakish. So thank you for saying that, Julie. And, the reason I want to do a community for young adults is because I think they want to be together and they need to be. They just don't know how. Is the thing. And my daughter her love language is quality time. She loves it if you just sit and do nothing. And she'll say to me constantly, Mom, just sit. We're just going to sit. You don't need to be moving. You don't need to be doing anything. She is so good about that connection. So thank you. I appreciate that. So Colleen, a couple of words about positivity.
We have the same daughter for sure, because my daughter, we must move a lot because she tells me, Mom, just down for a minute.
Stop
Like, stop
moving.
doing stuff. Here's what I'm thinking, Julie. I'm wondering, see, if we go look at our children, those are the ages of my children. They're late 20s, 30s, right? All my kids are late 20s and 30s. So when I'm looking at my children, that's who the young adults are that I'm seeing. Where I think children today at that age need to focus and where we need to step in is financial literacy. The issues are they were raised in a time when keeping up with the Joneses wasn't about us seeing if a neighbor had a car. They're seeing it constantly in their feed of what all their friends are doing and what everybody's buying and the lives they're leading. And a lot of it's fake, because in the background, I've watched my children idolize people that maybe they went to cheer with or they knew from school. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, can you believe they're getting a divorce? And I said, perfect example for you to understand that all of that you thought was happening on the outside, that was this perfect life, it was crumbling behind the scenes. So I believe with money, there's they are going to be in a whole different um predicament than even we are. With there's no finances for them. They need to be able to have financial literacy, to understand how to create passive income for themselves, how to invest, what they need to do with their money, not to keep up with the Joneses. If they were taught this, they would feel a sense of security and strength and not feel anxious or depressed. And I also see my daughters and sons, have this kind of anxiety around trends and around their appearance. I mean, I was so late in the game, like they're already, plastic surgeries or Botoxes or implants. And I'm like, what is happening in this? And I'm watching all their friends. I mean, when my children were growing up, there were always babies in my house. So their friends were getting pregnant. And I was like, please, God, please, I would pray every day, please don't let them get pregnant. Please don't, please protect
I think
them.
we all pray that, don't
I
we?
would educate,
Yeah.
educate. Luckily, we had
Yeah.
we didn't have any babies prior to that, but those friends are still in their lives today, right? And they have much
Yeah.
older children and a big gap in between the older children and the new family that they're creating today. So, yes, they have a lot of social media pressure. And I really do believe, Carey, if they're able to get more financial literacy and really understand how to take back the power of what they do with their money, how to create money, how to make money, how to save money, how to invest money, that would change the game for these
And I
young
agree with you 3000%. And I want you to know that one of the biggest focuses in this community is going to be on financial literacy, because this is a huge anxiety for them. So thank you. That's a very good point. I appreciate it. So
Carey, can I say something? Can I say
it's
something?
your turn.
Oh, good. Success Magazine, who published my last book, did a several page article, and they called me the hope dealer. And I've always said to people, keep your hopes up, because what good are low hopes? I mean, when you think about it, how amazing it is, the power of our mind and what transforms as a result of what you think about, you bring about, and energy follows thought. And so when you have a negative failure thought, say cancel and see the situation the way you choose it to be. I was just in an event where Alice Cooper was featured, and he has been sober, Julie, for 44 years. And when I think about people that are into drugs and alcohol and other things, I remember asking my producer when I was working on a syndicated show in Hollywood, his assistant, who was a Harvard graduate, had gotten into cocaine, had stolen about 200,000 from him. And I said to him, I said, Earl, you're in a lot of environment where people are doing drugs. How have you stayed away from it? And this is so powerful. He said, I never wanted to turn my power over to something else that would control me instead of me controlling my life. And this is what I've always said to people about that kind of lifestyle, that you lose power of your life. You turn it over to somebody else. And I think that we have to keep our hopes up. And there is so much now challenging us, and this social media, and the fact that you see a 5-year-old using a laptop and not talking, and you see people out at dinner. We need the human interaction. Babies die of a disease called marasma if they're not touched and cuddled as infants. I had a guest on my show, and she was a volunteer in the Japanese orphanages, and she said we had food, they were clean, but we didn't have anybody to hold these babies, and they were dying like flies. She said it was horrible. So we need to keep this social interaction. And I really am very much a social person, because it has been a benefit for my life. It's made all the difference in my life. So, and how do you, when I was a young person, my cousin in California, when I was visiting, she said, you just say hi to everyone at the drugstore, and you say hi to everybody. And she said, you don't know those people. I said, well, how are you going to get to know them? So I do talk to people. I'm known for that. And it's powerful, y'all. You get more out of it than they get out of it, but it is powerful. So I'll wear you out. I better shut up. But anyways.
No, I love
Thank you
this so
so
much,
much.
you guys. This is why I get so emotional on these broadcasts, right? Uh-huh.
Remember, I told you, curl your toes and tighten your butt, and you won't cry
I
so
told you
much.
that years ago. It didn't work for me.
Keep trying. Keep your hopes up. What good are low
Down
hopes?
the quarter off
My
of Carrie's
God.
butt, she's been tightening it so much.
This is the thing. She told me that years ago when I started getting recognized in Arbonne and getting on stages, and I would get emotional, and I would try that. And you could just see everybody in the audience looking at me going, I wonder if she's doing that right now.
Yeah. We all have problems. And what you were talking about, if we write our problems down, Donna, on a piece of paper, and when I'm doing a speech, and I'll say, okay, write your problem down and bring it up here, and you got to take somebody else's problem. When you see the problems that other people have, you think, give me my problem back. It's not near that bad. Y'all, we have no idea what other people are facing. So we all always, and you're going to have problems. And you got to learn the 4-letter word next too. What do I do next? And it's powerful.
There's so many nuggets in here, you guys, and I knew there would be. So I thank you so very much. The theme out of last week's panel and the common denominator here again is we need each other. We need a community. We need to stop isolating. We need to stop not asking for help because we think it's weak, and we don't want people thinking that we're not all that in a bag of chips, right? I think we just need more of that. And so what you do, ladies, every day is just be such a great example. So, geez Louise. Okay, enough of that. I promised Reed I wouldn't cry, so I'm not crying. I'm not crying. So, you guys, here's the thing is that, as I mentioned at the beginning, I've been talking about this for quite a while, and I just really, somebody finish the words, just feel very called to launch this community for young adults. We're going to build it as we go. I don't have it all figured out because I have a feeling they're going to tell me what they want and how they want it to go. But I'm officially opening it up with a Facebook group on Saturday that I'm going to be inviting people into. And I'm excited about it. Very excited. So I hope that you guys will help me share it out. If you're listening to this, be watching for that. We'll announce it here on Facebook. I have a gift that I would like to give you all for watching this today. I have a workbook called Vision is Victory. If you have never sat down to write out a vision, know what your purpose is in your life, I want you to download this book today and start writing it because you need vision, right? So how you get the book is you text the word victory, all in caps, to 26786. Just text victory 26786 and you'll get that downloadable free version. And I hope that you will take my gift and let me know that you took it and you wrote out your vision. I love hearing from people when they tell me they did that because it means that they're making a choice to live their life with intention and to follow their God-given purpose. And that's what I believe we all need. So thank you, ladies. This was so much fun. And I can't even begin to tell you how grateful I am because I know how busy you all are. So this was a lot of time and a lot of just enlightenment and encouragement you gave the world today. So thank you. I appreciate you all so much.
And we love
Carey.
you.
Can
We
you
love you.
You're a
repeat
gift,
the
Carey.
text and what you just for people that were grabbing their pens?
Sure. Yeah, just the word victory, all in caps, to 26786.
Great. Wow. What a
Thank you,
blessing
ladies,
that's
so
gonna
much
be.
from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all for watching this podcast. Thank you for listening to the podcast and sharing it. I appreciate you all, and there's more to come. Thank you all.